Welcome back to another episode of T.E.A Talks with Aaron and Con, or Conron, as we lovingly like to be known. This week, we are looking at 5 Google Ads tactics for growth. Con here has written down 5 of his best. We'll challenge him on that, and we'll see what he thinks brands can do to really look at growing online. So Con, right, let's kick off as we need to go on. You've got 5 tactics for growth. What is the first one?
I have indeed. That will be analyze your competitors' ads for value proposition. So essentially what it means is just create very comprehensive strategic overview of your competitors' ads. Essentially just take their ads, just dissect them as much as you can. So look at what they promote, look at the hottest period they are running their ads, look at the messaging, creatives, all that good stuff, then extrapolate it with your own strategy, just see how it stacks up against yours and see why they are winning in case if you aren't.
Okay. Any tools or specific ways that you go about doing that?
I possibly would just go straight to Google and straight to Meta. So in Meta, there is something called Ads Library. So if you visit your competitor's web page, Meta page, and then go into About section, you will see Ads Transparency. So click there. You're going to then be taken to the library where you can just preview the ads. Similarly, for Google, there is a tool called Ads Transparency, and it's called Ads Transparency Center. So when you Google that, you will be able to go to a search bar where you can type in your competitor's name. Click on the name, it will show you all the ads they are running. You can actually even filter them down by the type, so whether it's a text ad, image ad, or a video ad. So that will give you straight away plenty of intelligence to what your competitors are doing.
Amazing. Okay, so that's the first one. So that value proposition, looking at what our competitors are doing, and then really getting under the skin, but sort of that behind the scenes of what those competitors are doing, just to give us ideas and insights for our own campaigns. That's the absolutely. First thing you think is it how underutilized do you think that is for brands? Do you think brands and agencies, do they do that enough? Look at their competitors.
I don't think they do. I don't think they do. I think it's one of those little gems that people think that their offer is the best. They very rarely actually go out there actively to see, how do I actually compare to to my competitor down the road. And from that you can also see how well your own ads are optimized, because you will see the usage of site links, you will see the callouts, you will see all the different kind of messaging that can be a lot better converting than the messaging that you use. So I think it's one of those little tools that is very rarely used, but it can be quite powerful.
Yeah, it's a really good point, because I think we all, I know we've been guilty of it in the past, is become very insular. You think you're so focused on what you're running, but actually taking the time to look at what's happening in the wider world. I think it's a really good point. Right, second, what's your second tactic for growth?
I would possibly say consider what are your campaign types. So your standard, search, display, brilliant. Everybody does that. However, not everybody will actually carry on with just those 2. So if you look at your search campaigns, then your display campaigns and shopping campaigns, if you're an e-commerce brand.
Yep.
And the 4th type, which is most recently introduced, is it good old? It's good, but it's not old. Performance Max campaigns.
Yeah.
So I would say take these and look at them on the performance level, how they perform for you and for your brand specifically. Because I think one of the biggest problems that we see in the industry is that people will try to either do a very quick job, that's when they will automatically start leaning towards Performance Max, mainly because it's AI driven, so a lot of work will be done for them by Google, but at the same time, Google is a robot. It's a machine that will try to do your job for you. Google will not know everything there is to know about your brand. So consider that first and foremost. But start with your best performing campaign types, and try to make sure that you utilize them to the fullest. So your search campaigns, see how well optimized these are. See if there is anything else that you can do. So just don't go down the route of just, going for your ads and ad copy and then your audience. Just go under the bonnet, just see what you are not doing now, because probably there's going to be a lot of basic stuff that you are not considering, such as things like locations, things like deeper audience segmentation, things like first-party data. So, for example, if you have got a list of customers who have purchased from you, to help Google to push your ad out further out, just add it in. Make sure that it's all there. Then create your ad structure with your funnel in mind. So whatever you want to achieve from that search campaign, whether it's going to be a brand campaign or non-brand campaign, decide on what kind of keywords you're going to be using and take it from there. Then the next type, obviously, is going to be our display campaigns. So just be as visual and as creative as you want. However, the biggest caveat with our display campaigns is that these campaigns very rarely drive direct conversions, but they are beautiful brand awareness pieces.
Yeah, they're good to keep the brand out there. Just thinking about our clients then, where are most, just to put you on the spot, where are most of our campaigns? Which type of campaigns would you say we're doing the most of?
Well, bearing in mind that we are supporting e-commerce brands, I would possibly say that we do about 10% of search, and then the rest of it is split between Performance Max and shopping. So with Performance Max, it's nice and easy because obviously what we do is we put all the assets in and then we create asset groups which then just build the relevant ad. But also in terms of shopping, what we tend to be using is our Performance Max on feed only. So that replaces the standard shopping. Obviously, as we know, smart shopping is no longer a thing. So standard shopping is the best next thing.
Yeah, and I think it's funny, is that Performance Max, I think a lot of marketers, be it agency side or brand side, I think we've all had to learn to love Performance Max.
We did.
I think we were all of the mind of like, we don't want this. Leave us. We like what we like. I think we've all had a rocky relationship with Performance Max, but. Credit where credit's due, I think it's getting a lot better.
Absolutely.
We're seeing better results, aren't we?
We are seeing better results, but also what we are seeing is that your Performance Max is only as good as your targeting and the data that you feed it.
Too true. Exactly that. No, that's a really good point.
I think with Performance Max, why this one is so important to consider is because based on the products that we feed from the GMC, Performance Max will then make up its mind. How is it going to push the products out? So if it's a product which is, let's say, low margin but high conversions, straight away Performance Max will be like, yay, well, look, people are buying this product, let's push it more, let's just show more of that thing. But then all of a sudden the client comes back saying, oh, actually we are not making money on these campaigns. Come on, what's going on, guys? So then, I just have to go in and be like, no, we have to exclude this one because yes, it might be getting stonking amount of conversions, but if it's not converting...
Those conversions are worth like £5
exactly,
versus... products for £1,000. Yeah, no, exactly that.
So
exactly.
this is where I think Performance Max is as powerful as it's stupid, I'm afraid, and that's why it's going to carry on
as the
our
growth
impact.
Okay, so let's move on to the third. What is the third tactic for growth?
Well, that will be the bidding strategies. So with bidding strategies, always keep on the front of your mind what you want to promote and when. Because if you have got a product or a service that you will want eyes on all the time, consider just having as much money thrown at it as possible. If it's a seasonal product, for example, or if it's a product which essentially people browse only at specific times or specific locations, that's when you can think about adjusting those bids for that specific set of circumstances. So if you imagine having, let's say, a fully automated strategy, fully automated bidding strategy, I would then focus on things like return on ad spend. So that just build yourself a target so you know that Google will be working towards achieving that very target. But if, for example, you are not quite sure what to do and which bid strategy is going to be most relevant to you and your ads, go down the route of manual bidding. And then carry on trying different tests. So, for example, you will have your maximize conversion versus maximize clicks. And clearly, if you want to sell more of a certain product, you will go for maximize conversions. But if all you are interested in is volume or a footfall to your website or to a product page, go for maximize click.
I think actually that's something that we do a lot of now, and probably more than ever, is that experimentation. Because I think a lot of people tend to think, well, I need to look at my bid strategies and test different things at the outset, but actually you need to do that through the lifetime of an account.
Yeah,
It's be constantly looking at those different the different strategies, thinking, well, okay, well, this is what I'm getting with a max conversion strategy. What about if I move to a max click strategy or a this or a that?
Precisely, and also because everything is data driven at the moment, so testing on so many different levels is going to then give not just you the intelligence that you will need for your future campaigns and future strategies, but it will also feed Google all that data. So then all of a sudden you might be having just your search campaign which will be set on max clicks, but then straight away these max clicks, even though they might not necessarily result in a lot of conversions, they will feed that data back to your Performance Max, which is then geared towards sales.
Yeah, makes sense. And that leads us on nicely to the fourth tactic for growth, which you've put in as...
bid adjustments.
Go on then, explain what you mean.
So, bid adjustments and bidding on keywords in a very specific place where they are in the funnel. So, for example, the keywords very high in the funnel are going to be your most generic phrases.
Give us an example.
If you're a garden brand, for example, selling secateurs, if you, search, for example, for secateurs near me, that's your top funnel keyword. However, bottom or further down the funnel, we're going slightly more granular. So it's for the intent, that's what matters. So people who are now in the sort of research phase, they will be just going very generically searching for your sectors. However, people who are slightly more clued up, or people who know what they want to purchase, they will go to the middle of your funnel, which they will say, search, for example, for secateurs for brambles. And then you will have the third type. So that's the intent where people are ready to buy and they know already exactly.
Maybe like a brand search or a specific, so specific use case.
And that's where you need to understand where your audience comes from and just analyze the data, and you will see how especially in your keyword search reports, you will see where they come from and where they sit in the funnel. So then with that in mind, what you do, you just adjust your bid for those keywords which are most likely going to convert based on the intent that you can see from the data analysis.
And I think it's a really important point. I think all too often we see campaigns, particularly when we take over a campaign, is there's a kind of a one and done rule applied to everything. We see lots of keywords, real broad keywords, and then very specific keywords, branded keywords, different levels of intent, all with a kind of a generic bid range that's one and the same for everything. And there's vastly different, volumes of data, because you might get far fewer click searches for a specific keyword, but the intent behind the performance of that keyword is significantly greater. Therefore, you're prepared to bid a little bit more because you know there's more intent behind that keyword.
Yes, which to this point, that's a nice little Brucey bonus, because then all of a sudden you are not just actually maximizing your chances for that campaign to convert, but also your budget is being spent in a lot more efficient way. So your control over budget suddenly becomes a lot more comprehensive.
And you can obviously pull off all these reports. It takes time, doesn't it, to go through. You can, yes, you can automate some of this, but you just can't be. I think a big part of our approach for years has always been, just get stuck in, do things manually, just go through it and really just roll your sleeves up and get into it. And you can really start to identify those little gems that are worth bidding a little bit higher or a little bit lower because they are working or we're getting volume, but it's not converting. So I think bid adjustment based on who the user is and where they're at in their buying cycle is that's a way we've been able to drive up that average ROAS, that return on investment on our ad spend consistently. Those little tweaks to that bid adjustment is one of our, would you agree, it's one of our kind of secret sauce of how we're able to just constantly dial that return on ad spend.
And then from there, what we look at is our is the return on, is the profit on that.
Then factor in, it's all those, it gets into all the margins, because as you say, if you've got a product that you're selling at £10 or £20 versus a product that's selling at £500, the margin, is can be very different, and it just feeds in. And it's understanding all that and working that backwards into the bid adjustment. What are we prepared to buy a customer for, essentially, or buy a click for?
Very much so, yes.
Makes sense. Right. The fifth and final tactic is
remarketing.
Go on then, give it to us.
Of course, everybody talks a lot about remarketing.
Yep.
Whenever you think the word remarketing, people very often think, oh, this is going to be done it's going to be a remarketing through social media.
Yep.
Or through paid socials, but it doesn't have to be, because Google, being smart as it is, it will obviously take your ads and it will start feeding them back to people who have already been on your website, people who have clicked on your ad previously, but they not necessarily done much with it, and people who we're going to feed into the mix. So essentially, what you need to do when you are considering your remarketing as a tactic, again, consider their intent. So looking at everything that you do on the remarketing front.
Yep.
These might be people who have visited your website in the past, but they have not made a purchase, or people who have people who have ended up just dropping off at the basket stage.
Yep.
So that's where you want to get in there, because you know that the intent is there.
Yeah, and give us some practical examples of what we're doing with our clients. And I'm thinking, customer lists and stuff like that. What ways that you can improve that the remarketing performance? What are some of the things what are some of the data you can push in to improve those lists?
Oh God, absolutely. So as a bare minimum, the first party data, that's where it starts and that's where it ends.
What do you mean by that? Because a lot of people throw the terms around and they go, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, so first party data, it's all the data that essentially sits in the CRM of a brand. So if you are if you're a lifestyle brand and you have got now a truckload of data of people who have bought, let's say, t-shirts from you in the past 90 days, that data sitting on your CRM is not doing anything. However, if you throw it back into Google,
there you go.
Straight away you can monetize on that data by not necessarily allowing people to, or pushing that to people who have previously purchased, but you give Google a data or intelligence how to cast that net a little bit wider. So Google, similarly to Meta, for example, will create a lookalike audience, which will then be targeted with your ads. So just purely on the basis of somebody who has dropped off, let's say, on the basket or add to basket stage, you know that intent is there. So then this very person is going to be shown your ad, whether it's through remarketing or when they are searching for similar product, your ad will automatically be bumped into the top of the search engine page because they've already interacted with you in the past.
So it's that first party data is key. Also, you can feed in like your customer lists, any your newsletter subscribers. These are things, I'm just thinking things that we advocate the clients do is your data that you've got in your CRM, those people that are subscribed to your email list, using those people and getting that in for your remarketing. Because if they've been a customer, if they know of your brand, if they've engaged with your brand, then you can use that data, you can plug it in, and you can remarket.
You can, and then there is a couple of other things you can do. So switch on your enhanced conversions. That in itself is going to then help Google understand who are you trying to attract and how people are actually converting.
Okay, look, I think that's amazing. I think we're going to have to leave it there. 5 Google Ads tactics for growth. Quick recap then. So the first one we said was just really consider that value proposition and really get to know what the competitors are doing. I think that's key. I think not enough brands do that or take the time to do that because they're so focused on what they're doing, they don't look at the bigger picture. The second thing, consider those campaign types and don't just default to, it's got to be search and it's necessarily got to be performance match, but actually what's going to work best? What are my competitors doing? What are the best types? And then continually experiment. The third thing was those bid strategies. Really look at that, not just at the beginning of a campaign, but throughout the life cycle or the lifetime, should I say, of a campaign. Fourth one, those bid adjustments. Really think about the user, the end user, where they are in that buying cycle, what your buying cycle looks like as a brand, and then really adjusting your bids and keeping a very close eye on them throughout the lifetime of those campaigns. We do so much of that, and I know not enough brands do that because they sort of, it's a little tendency, set and forget, and we don't want to do that. And then the fifth thing is that all-important remarketing to keep that brand top of mind. Amazing. Con, thank you so much.
Thanks, Otto.
I hope you've enjoyed this episode of T.E A Talks. We'll be seeing you again very soon. All the best. Take care.
Bye for now.